Yo, 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 what's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is WEEDMAAAAAAAAAN420 with the WEEDMAN420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Hopefully you're all doing well. Mrs. WeedMan, how you doing?
Doing well.
Doing well?
I am good.
We had a phenomenal Memorial weekend.
We did.
We went and visited Little Weed Girl, Little Weed Boy, and also Shoddy, our producer, out in Seattle, and we had a great time out there. It was fantastic. Weather was perfect. We did some hiking. We played some disc golf. We ate a lot of good food. We went to Pike's Market. We did everything I could possibly do in 4 days. But the best part of it all, I got to spend time with our kids and then our grandkids. Not real grandkids, dog and a cat that we finally got to meet. Gwen and Rue.
Which thanks FaceTime, because I think they actually were pretty comfortable with us from the second they met us.
Yes.
Because they were used to our voices.
Plus, we gave them lots of treats.
Yes. Yeah. We were buds.
We also visited some dispensaries while we were out there.
We did.
And we went to one, and I'm going to give the name of it because I was very highly impressed. The place was called The Reef. And what town was that in? I don't even know.
That was in Cap Hill.
Cap Hill?
I believe it was Cap Hill.
Great dispensary. You walk in, very friendly, from the security working the front door. I love the aesthetics of the place, how it was set up, the displays, everything was out. You can really touch, look. It was pretty awesome.
You couldn't touch.
But there was stuff on the on the display
counters.
pieces that
Yeah.
I mean, I touched with my finger or something like that. I touched them. All right. But it was cool how they had the displays in these big round circle glass things, and you got to walk around the store. Then they had this big, gigantic wall filled with bandolier gun holsters with pre-rolls on them. Yes, that was the store.
They were just
wasn't it?
containers, yeah.
Yeah, but they were held in bandolier gun holders.
Each joint was in its own
container.
container.
Its own tube, but it was on the wall from like probably like 10 feet by 10 feet of just all these pre-rolls, and it had these little chalkboards going across the top that told you what the strain was and the percentage. It was pretty dope. But I was very, very impressed. And like you guys have always heard me talk, every time I go to a dispensary, I ask a certain questions, and then I listen. Because I want to see if the bud tenders are knowledgeable and if they're really looking into what I'm looking for. And I want to say this young woman we had at the dispensary knew her shit. She was good. I said, she goes, well, what are you looking for? I said, well, we want some pre-rolls. I'm only here for a couple days. I don't need to get an eighth or anything like that. But I'm looking for some for night, sleepy sleep. Because Mrs. WeedMan already got our fun stuff. She went a couple days beforehand and picked up some great uplifting, fun stuff during the day. One was called head cheese. Head cheese,
yeah.
And it made you literally a laughing, crying attack.
Yeah. I had a pretty serious moment.
Pretty good, but it was pretty good stuff.
Laughing
we enjoyed that
so
one.
much that I was crying and laughing and crying and crying and laughing all at one time. The kids were like, whoa, are you all right?
Yeah, but it was a good strain. It was fun. We had a lot of fun on that one. But I was very, very, very impressed with the young woman who helped us out at the Reef. And unfortunately, I don't remember her name. Terrible. But like I said, I asked for a nighttime sleepy sleep weed, and she picked out 2 indica strains. One was about 19%. The other one's about 27%. And what was the name of the one that we smoked last night?
I don't know if the brand was Paris.
I think it's Paris. I think it's Paris. Max something. But let me tell you something.
Ooh, couch lock.
Oh, you want to talk about Jello and going to sleep? They're doing it right out in Seattle, boy.
That was amazing.
It is a great strain. I got one more half-gram joint of that left, and gonna savor that. I mean, it is. She lit it up though. But the one thing I was so impressed with was she asked me if I wanted pesticide free. I had never had that asked before. That was the first for me, and for me, that put her as one of the top bud tenders I've ever experienced because she dialed in what I was looking for. But then she also dialed in O-Dog, our daughter, who was looking for a strain that wasn't going to give her anxiety, and she picked out a CBD, THC, like a 1-to-1. That was phenomenal. We all smoked it.
We all smoked it intentionally.
It was great.
We weren't having drinks. We were playing Jackbox.
On
if
Switch.
You've never played it with a group, super fun. And so we were playing Jackbox, and we all smoked before that. So we hadn't been drinking, and we all wanted to smoke to see how accurate her recommendation was.
Spot on.
It was amazing because both of our kids don't love to smoke weed. They get too in their head. They don't like how they feel. It just doesn't make them excited to do it.
I mean, Polly does,
but they haven't found a strain they love, and they haven't explored a ton with it. So we specifically asked for something that wouldn't get them super heady, wouldn't create any of the anxiety type feelings, make them feel good, a little giggly, but chill.
Oh, we had a blast.
Man, it was straight on. It was perfect.
So I want to say that the young woman at the Reef, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but you were fantastic in everything you sold us and described to us. You were spot on. So kudos to you, Reef. I bought a T-shirt and a hoodie from your place. Spot on.
Yeah, the Reef as in like a coral reef, and their like logos all have Jacques Cousteau on them. It's pretty cool. And then all of the displays look like water bubbles. And so the cannabis was like in this round, clear-sided plexiglass container.
They have a dope-ass really mural of Jacques Cousteau on the building, on the side of the building outside. That was pretty awesome. So all my friends and burners, stoners, and potheads in Seattle and Lake Stevens, Washington, and Lake Stevens, Washington West, you guys listen to us tremendously out there. Thank you for the hospitality. Thank you for your awesome dispensary. And thank you for the good time.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, everybody talks about the Seattle freeze and that it's not a friendly place. I've been there twice now, and I have found it to be quite friendly. And maybe it has to do with my age. I'm not there trying to make friends because I don't live there. You know, I'm there just as a visitor. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know how easy it is to get established there and make a good friend group, but everybody was super cool and, you know, super, super careful with COVID, and all of the rules are still in place. They're definitely very serious about keeping it under wraps. So everything was very rigid about mask wearing, washing your hands, limiting how many people were in places. But if you were willing to wait in a line to get into something, or, you know, whatever, it was just a really...
Yeah, it was great. It was a pleasant trip. And I'm not a touristy kind of guy. I don't like going to all the touristy places, even though we went to a couple touristy places. I like going where the locals hang out. But we had some great food every night. We went to we had some great yogurt. It was it was good to get away for 4 days because it's been a while. We hadn't seen our kids in a year. So it was awesome. So love you, Polly. Love you, Shadi, the producer, and O-Dog. So happy we got to spend some great quality time with you guys, and we had a blast. Thanks, Seattle, for your hospitality. It is Pride Month here in Illinois.
It sure is.
And
everywhere.
Well, not everywhere. I know some states celebrate it, like Arizona celebrates it in October.
Oh, really?
There's certain states that celebrate different months. But here in Illinois,
national...
there's some states that celebrate in June. I don't know every state, and I apologize. But I want to say Happy Pride Month to all you LGBTQ+. Happy Pride Month. We are going to smoke in honor of Pride Month for you guys. And all month long, we're going to read a story, or if there's anybody out there that's in the cannabis industry that... that's part of the LGBTQ plus community that wants to come on our show, reach out to us. You can email us at WeedMan420Chronicles@gmail.com. We'll check you out and talk with you and see if it's something that we want to have on the show. So happy Pride Month, everybody. We're going to smoke, and we are smoking Hippie Crippler.
Whoa.
And I posted this on our Instagram a few minutes ago because T, our tech, gave us a card, and it said, "Weed is our love language." And on it was a joint in a tube, and it's called Hippie Crippler, and he told me this crippled him. So
that's what this is from?
Yes, this is from the card. So thanks, T.
Thanks,
T, for the gift. And
if I'm crippled and stuck in the couch,
and as you all know, weed is my love language. So I'll talk about this strain a little bit. It ranges between 18 and 22%. There's like 1% of CBG in it. The dominant terpene is myrcene. It is a very uplifting, happy, euphoric, energetic strain. But I'm going to read the bio on this. So, Hippie Crippler isn't some strange affliction you may get from hanging around with flower children. It's an uplifting sativa-dominant hybrid. Patients love this cross of AK-47, which I love AK-47. It goes right to your head. And Blue Satellite for its sweet smell and taste. Take this hippie home, and you'll be glad you did. It's more of a daytime smoke. It will get you a little bleary-eyed and a little spacey, depending on the tolerance and dosage. So tread lightly. Happy, uplifted, euphoric, relaxed, energetic. Like I said, some negatives. Dry mouth, dry eyes, a little dizziness, anxious, and headache, but very, very low. 5% people, 4% people, 3% on the headache. So, but like I said, I'm looking forward to trying this because T said it's a banger. So I'm going to tread lightly on this because I got to do a show. How's it taste, Mrs. Weedman? Go ahead, talk
It's
while
nice.
I smoke.
I was only planning to take one hit, but it was the start of a joint, so you get that like half-ass kind of hit. So I took a second. So we'll see how spacey I get through the show if that happens. But it was super cool. It was like a greeting card. It was so cute. So he was in Vegas, I think.
Yep.
Got it at Planet 13.
Somewhere, yeah.
And so it was like a greeting card, like your
free
Hallmark
plug,
card.
Planet 13 free
that
plug.
Was geared towards cannabis. What did it say?
It said on there, weed is my love language.
Yeah. And then there were like two little bands at the top that held the little canister with a joint in it. I love it. I'm like, no shit. You got that at a store?
Nice. I like it.
Yeah,
I like
smooth.
It. We're going to take 2 hits and see how it goes, and maybe take more later on the show.
Okay. We'll see how it goes.
Since it is Pride Month, Mrs. Weedman's going to start us off with some of the highest LGBTQ plus, it says here on what we read, queer women in weed. So we are going to honor some queer women in weed. Happy Pride Month. Mrs. Weedman, take it away.
Yes, yes. So I think this is a very important month and something really important to celebrate and support. And so this article comes from Mary Schumacher at WeedMaps, and she just wrote it a couple months ago. And she said, this is Mary speaking, I spoke to my mom on the phone last night and told her I was working on an article. She inquired about what I was writing about. And when I said queer women in weed, she asked, well, what are you writing about? Don't they enjoy it like anybody else? What's the difference? So, Mary goes on to say, I knew there was a thoughtful answer to this line of questioning, but I needed to sit back with a joint to grasp its simplicity fully. And as the sweet biscotti smoke relaxed my mind, I remembered an article about brunching with the queer and women-owned brand Sonder, recalling that it's just a fact that in the cannabis industry, like so many industries, it's just historically represented by white males. So the answer to my mom's question is that queer women enjoy weed, they create weed things, and have high ambitions just like anyone else. But the popular marketplace has yet to reflect that depth of diversity accurately. People of all walks of life must hear about these exceptional brands that are breaking glass ceilings with innovative strategies, top-shelf products, and impactful nonprofit offerings. So she went on to interview or discuss some of the highest queer women in weed. The first one is Emily Eisen of Emily Eisen. She oozes with creativity. In an interview with EchoMag.com, Eisen said that as a young, disenfranchised feminist, she felt isolated from her peers and found her true outlet in creating multimedia art. Her paintings, sculptures, photography, and modeling all push the boundaries of colorways and the ways of art, gender, and sexuality. Cannabis features heavily in her trippy themes, and in her modeling you can often find a joint dangling loosely from her mouth or a cloud of smoke being seductively exhaled, her reddened eyes peering thoughtfully back at you. The bright colors, heavy line drawings, perfect makeup, they all contribute to an experience meant to open doors for others to self-express themselves, bathe in the colors that bring them to life, and experience art on a personal level. Take an uplifting trip through the gardens of Eisen's Instagram and treat yourself to her immersive world. Okay, they were spot on with the dry mouth. Holy shit. We're going to be drinking a lot on this show.
Hippie crippler.
I feel like I can't breathe. It's crippling my lungs. I'm out of breath.
They sit energetic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, woo. All right.
Good thing you only took 1.5 hits.
Yeah. Shannon D. Grooms and Bree Smith of hashtag This Is Jane Project. Shannon D. Grooms and Bree Smith formed the project to open important conversations on women's trauma, medicating with cannabis, and eliminating the stigma around both. Through raw, powerful black and white photographs and Jane's personal story of trauma and hope, the nonprofit sheds light, provides community, and uplifts the lives of trauma survivors. For Smith, co-founding the project was personal as well. A survivor of trauma and sexual assault, she works tirelessly to end abuse, trauma, and the consequences that come from those terrible experiences. She finds peace in the wilderness with her dog Chubbers at her side. Cute.
Chubbers.
I know, right? Big chocolate lab. Chubbers. Trista Okel and Michelle White of Empower Body Care. Wife and wife team, Trista Okel and Michelle White, are the power duo behind Empower Body Care products, a line of soothing, highly conscious, and thoughtfully sourced concoctions made with sun-grown, USDA-certified organic hemp. CBD-infused lotions, topical oils, and soaking salts are the perfect treat yourself or gift, as indicated by their tagline, the kind of CBD you'd give your own mother. That's cute. Empower Body Care's beginning took root in 2004 in Okel's kitchen, where she brewed CBD-infused topical oil in a slow cooker to help her mother manage pain. This was before the hemp and CBD craze and long before the 2018 hemp bill. But Okel saw the proof and potential in her mother's well-being, and soon other family members as well, also called the concoction life-changing. White joined in 2016 after serving as director of administration for the Portland-based recovery nonprofit Folk Time. She was also a founding board member of the Houseless Youth nonprofit Outside the Frame, and on the board of directors for the Sexual Assault Resource Center. Wow. White is Empower Body Care's chief operating officer. Though she wears many hats in the role, her nonprofit advocacy experience has greatly enhanced their corporate social responsibility initiatives. When not creating powerful, must-try healing elixirs, Okel and White enjoy each other's company and that of their two rescue pups, Lucy and Riley. Drink break.
Wow, that bad, huh?
All right. Katie Stem and Kate Black of Peak Extractions. Katie and Kate shot through the cannabis glass ceiling in 2014 with Peak Extracts, the first women-owned extract brand in Oregon. They set themselves apart immediately with custom-tailored edibles made from single strains to combat specific ailments. CEO and founder Stem started the experiment to combat her own Crohn's disease, as she found certain strains worked in different ways and came with varying levels of relief and side effects. Their cartridge line, which debuted in 2018, keeps precious terpenes and flavonoids intact. Higher than the industry average, each cartridge boasts an average of 10% terpenes for a holistically delicious experience. I want to try that. The Rescue Rub is a specialty all its own. A Chinese herbalist as well, Stem based the topical on an ancient recipe to treat aches and pains. With laboratory science experience, too, the women do their own extractions and have their own way of processing that took years to develop and perfect. Dang, those ladies are smart. Catherine Goldberg of Weed Bar, LA. She's the founder, and it is an event experience company centered around custom cannabis gatherings for community groups all the way up to corporate events. A quick look at Goldberg's LinkedIn shows that her experience in the industry is vast and varied, as she worked with brands such as Papa and Barkley, Binsky, Kiva, and Candescent, and has written for publications like High Times and Forbes. As outlined on their website, custom weed events thrown by Weed Bar LA include outstanding food by master chefs, microdosed cannabis mocktails, mouth-watering edibles like ice creams and cakes, and of course a fully stocked weed bar boasting an array of top-shelf flower curated by trained bud tenders. I want to go to one of those parties.
Me too. Maybe we throw our own.
Yeah. Goldberg and her team ensure that the high matches the mood of the event, carefully dosing and personalizing all food items.
I like that.
I know, right?
Carefully dosing. Like just because you want to try the cake because it probably looks delicious,
Right.
give them like a 2 milligram cake, and then someone can eat like something else,
piece of it, yeah.
and then you have a total of like 10 milligrams. But you ate like 8 different things, and you got a few pounds put on you too, but you got to eat everything.
Right.
You know, that's pretty cool.
Enjoy infused massages and non-psychoactive CBD products that really set a mellow tone, or go all out with the dab bar experience. Office parties to engagement parties, dinner soirees to elevated Shabbats. Goldberg is one woman.
What is a Shabbat? What is that?
It's a part of it's one of the Jewish traditions, but I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know what it is.
I didn't know I thought it was like party or something.
So she's one woman who's making sure the bar is raised to the highest level for cannabis enthusiasts to seriously kick back and enjoy the high. Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
pretty strong women doing some cool, interesting, innovative, progressive things. Pretty cool. And
happy Pride Month, everybody.
Yeah, happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. We're going to be talking about it for the rest of the month on the show. So I'm crippled. Fucking crippled.
In a lot of ways.
Like.
Can't breathe.
Like, I'm like, can't feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, it's pretty crippling. T was right.
Yeah. I had biofeedback therapy. I had acupuncture.
You needed it,
and
too.
I had cupping today.
You needed it, though.
And now I had...
Do you feel better?
Knock your brain out of the park weed. I'm on another level right now.
Pretty baked. I'm going to try to do the rest of this show.
I feel like I can't elevate
It said euphoric. I'm feeling very euphoric right now.
I feel like when I'm speaking...
I feel like I'm floating.
I feel like my speech is flat.
I feel like I'm looking down at you right now.
Hey.
Like I'm floating.
Hey. I'll watch you pass by. I like watching clouds.
Me too. Big fat clouds come out of doinks. Thomas Jefferson University employee was fired over medical cannabis use, so she fired back. Crazy thing about Thomas Jefferson University, I've read some articles about them. They're doing cannabis testing and stuff like that at their university, so it's kind of weird to me that they fired somebody. So a former employee of Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia has sued the school for wrongful termination. She claims to have been using medical cannabis on a doctor's orders, but the university fired her after a drug test found THC in her blood. What made the case more attention is that Thomas Jefferson University is home to the Lambert Center of Study of Medical Cannabis and Hemp. Like I said, the university established a center with a $3 million donation from an Australian couple, Barry and Joy Lambert. When he donated, Lambert said he hoped the university's initiative scientific approach would prove to the medical profession the benefits and safety of medicinal cannabis for a broad range of illness, not just childhood epilepsy. So they had somebody using it in their school for medical purposes. They could have just actually asked her. The former employee who filed the lawsuit, Donald Hunnell, told the Philadelphia Inquirer about the school's research. How ironic, and yet you have no leniency with your medical cannabis policy. So here's what the former employee said happened. Hundell, who was 60, said she suffered from chronic back pain for many years. I have chronic back pain. The situation has only gotten worse with age. She told the Inquirer she experienced trouble sitting, walking, and sleeping. Her doctor recommended medical cannabis, and it worked. She experienced less pain. But the university asked her to take a drug test after she returned from medical leave. She had been out undergoing back surgery in hopes of further alleviating the pain. Hunnell's medical cannabis card had expired 2 months before she took the test in 2019. Hunnell said she explained to the person giving the test that she had a doctor's appointment the following week to get annual recertification needed for medical cannabis use. But Hunnell was fired 5 days later. Yeah, I know, it's fucked up. The same day she got the card recertified. She wasn't even doing it during work. She was only taking it while she was, as it turned out. The university told Dell she violated the drug and alcoholic policy.
So tell me her doctor, when she got her back surgery, didn't prescribe her opiates or opioids.
He just prescribed her medical cannabis.
Right. No, but I'm sure a doctor offered her
I'm sure.
opioids.
Yeah, of course.
But the college is concerned about her smoking pot.
Right.
You'd rather have your professor just all jacked up on opioids.
Right.
Come on.
The case puts the limelight on the issue of drug testing cannabis. While Hunnell will have the chance to sort all this out in court, the university failed to get the case dismissed and has not commented on the case because it's ongoing. The issue of the drug testing of cannabis remains a big one. That's because THC is an active chemical, as we know. So we'll see what happens. She should win that case. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Another new cannabinoid that we've talked about in the show many a times when we talked about the cannabinoids is CBDV, and they're talking about the next big one that people are going to be testing out there and getting probably all the results, and you guys are all going to want it. So it's called cannabidivarin. Ha 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 ha!
Wow.
I got it.
Say it again.
I'm not going to try.
Devarian,
yeah,
it ends with?
CBDV. Clinical trials have shown that the world is about to unlock the potent cannabinoid that will enhance the benefits we get from cannabis. One of the most exciting things to discuss regarding cannabis are cannabinoids. Yes, those excellent chemical compounds in the cannabis plant, but most conversations of cannabinoids are always hung up on THC and CBD. We've talked about cannabinoids on this show, so, but yes, as we find out more and more, you're going to see this, like, big, like, Jason from Illinois News Joint and I talked about. I want a weed with all of the cannabinoids because I want all the benefits. I actually talked to Wes about this when I went and saw. Hey, everybody! I finally got to meet Wes face to face. Earl 217, Big Earl 217. His grow op is fucking phenomenal, and his weed is fantastic, by the way. But we talked about this. We talked about while he got me baked out of my fucking head on this monster of a doink about having a strain, creating a strain with all the cannabinoids in it. So we get all the effects, all the health benefits, all the medical benefits for it. So now they're going to find another one. But I want a strain that has all of it. So what is CBDV? Cannabidivarin is a secondary cannabinoid often found in lower concentrations, unlike THC and CBD. Found in high concentrations. It is a non-intoxicating cannabinoid, doesn't cause euphoric high when utilized by cannabis enthusiasts. CBDV also doesn't give users a sleepy feel, which is familiar with other cannabis varieties that contain CBD or THC. Found mainly in C. indica and landrace strains from Africa and Asia, and different strains with lower THC, this cannabinoid is becoming a center of attention. How it works, although the researchers are still working on unraveling the value of CBDV, has to offer the results from preliminary tests show that it holds impressive potentials for the human body. Like other cannabinoids such as CBD, CBDV doesn't have all the high correlation of cannabinoid receptors like the CB1 and CB2. It does have a high such affinity, explains why people don't experience any intoxicating feelings when they take it, or something is familiar with the cannabis. That's kind of cool. If you don't want to have anything, you just want the health benefit of it, and you just feel better. According to recent studies, like CBD, possibly acts to other chemical pathways and incredibly mixes with the body endocannabinoid system. Here's an example. Critical trials for the efficacy of cannabidivarin to treat epilepsy. I practiced that all week, by the way. And convolution reveal that the substance activates, desensitizes the body TRPV1 receptors. The TRPV1 receptors play a crucial role in our body's ability to feel pain and sense temperature. At the same time, other tests show that CBDV can act on the TRPVA1 and the TRPAV2. So you have CB1 and CB2 receptors, and now you have TPRVA1 and TRPVA2 receptors, which is all part of that endocannabinoid system, which we've been talking about because they're still doing so much research on it, so they're finding more. That's dope. The receptors are the transient channels laced into the cell membrane, and when they are activated, they allow ions such as sodium get into the body's cells. When vital minerals like sodium quickly get into the body, the individual taking CBDV benefits from all the sodium and other nutrients have to offer. Damn, that's pretty cool. You're right. Cottonmouth up the fucking wazoo right now. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
I keep forgetting to listen to you. And then I start listening to you and I don't know what you're talking about.
It's okay. You'll listen to it later.
It's good. I know we're talking about weed.
Yes. Many research of CBDV focuses on the effect it has on seizures. And this is why Big Pharma is investing in test trials to ascertain how well this compound will perform in managing or preventing seizures. GW Pharmaceuticals developed the first FDA-approved CBD drug known as Epidiolex, which I've talked about before, which was developed as a CBDV-based drug called GPW 2006 to reduce and prevent epilepsy-induced seizures and other seizures. But that shit is so expensive.
Yeah. So it acts more like a CBD than a...
Well, the Epidiolex is a CBD derivative that they used, and that's what helps people with seizures. So... aiding neural behavioral issues. In 2018, study on rodents showed that cannabidivarin aids with neurobehavioral issues that are associated with Rett syndrome. Now, Rett syndrome happens when the X chromosome mutates and affects girls with seizures, muscle spasticity. I said it. And speech challenges. I'm baked, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. So it may also help with both the genetically determined and chemically induced types of this particular disease. Rescues memory defects. That's kind of cool. Helps patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy and DMD. May be able to treat interactable childhood epilepsy and autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and anti-nausea agent, which I've talked about before. So bottom line, was discovered over 50 years ago, and we'll wonder, why are we just researching and testing it now? The cannabis plant itself is still being tested through world trials to understand how it adds value in health and wellness sector. Well, I already know how good it is. So just get me something with all the cannabinoids in there. Biden's budget keeps medical cannabis protection, but would block D.C. from legalizing recreational cannabis. So weird. I'm not even going to talk about Biden. It's just so weird that D.C. You could smoke weed in D.C. Someone can gift it to you. People are selling it with cookies, going, buy this dozen cookies, and they do. So, and just legalize it fully. It's just so weird. It's just, I don't know. I'm just tired of talking about federal law right now. I'm baked. Minnesota governor signs bill legalizing smokable medical cannabis. Kind of cool. Illinois House approves cannabis equity licensing bill. It's been all over the news about that, so that's dope. So, and then in Illinois, Chicago cannabis store workers vote to join the Teamsters.
Cool.
Yeah. Here's the big one, though. Illinois cannabis sales increased 97% to $151 million in May. That's medical and recreational.
90%?
97%.
Over last year?
Over last year.
Oh, well, yeah.
Illinois total cannabis sales reached $150.6 million in May, up 0.2% from April, despite an extra day. And then, April is 420 month, man. Sales are going crazy. So, adult use was $116 million, and medical was, what was medical? Like 40, 50 million. So. And then, but here was something kind of cool. According to the state, dry flower accounted for 47% of the total sales.
Wow.
69,269 patients. This is medical. With concentrates infused products at 53%, the number of patients making a purchase jumped 9% from February. During March, fell slightly in April, and was slightly up in May. That's medical. So, and
I would say that smoking is probably the go-to, because that's what people are most accustomed to.
I mean, I love edibles, but I don't do concentrates, and I hardly ever use a vape anymore, and all I do is smoke flower. So I love it. Wisconsin Republicans block medical cannabis from being re-added to the budget. It's just so stupid. It's just, keep on coming, Illinois. South Dakota medical cannabis market may face reluctant doctors. Now they're getting shit on by the doctors, too. It's just that whole state. The whole state voted on it, and they voted both medical and recreational in one bill, first time in history, to legalize both. And the government's now, doctors are fighting it. It's just making it all fucked up, man. Come on. Are you kidding me? South Dakota, get your shit together. New Hampshire governor signs new bill, HB 89, to expand medical cannabis program. I don't feel like reading right now. My mouth is cotton mouth, so just go New Hampshire. The state Supreme Court upholds Florida medical cannabis business rules. This was a big one, man. I just still don't understand why it's not recreational. 22 million people in Florida. You guys could be killing it. You just don't care. You're here's what you're doing. Okay, it's all about control, Florida. Okay, you're trying to just control it so bad. You're not letting new people get down there and open up new licenses. You're not opening up. You got over 400,000 fucking medical patients. That should tell you something. With 22 million people, you'd be doing about $500 million a year in tax revenue if you did it right. So don't overcharge. You're getting about like 30 million people that come down there with tourism. Oh, my God. Mississippi won't challenge state high court ruling. This was a big one on medical cannabis. So now, though, I just read an article about 10 minutes ago. Mississippi Republican Governor Tate Reeves speaks during the State of the State speech on Tuesday, January 26th at 2021 on the south steps of the state capitol in Jackson, Mississippi. Some Mississippi lawmakers say that the governor Reeves to call them back to the Capitol for a special session to revive the state's initiative process. Others want a chance to quickly revive discussion of the medical cannabis program. So the governor supports will of voters on the issue of medical cannabis. So he's calling people back to vote on it again, man. They got to get. I hope it happens. I hope it does. I hope they get it back and at least get medical something. Here's something cool. Remember we talked about Ann Arbor having their first consumption lounge next to the dispensary. Nevada lawmakers approved cannabis consumption lounge, and I just read some more articles about it. The bill is going to go through, and the governor's signing it. It's done.
That'll be neat.
Pretty cool. I read this, and I started laughing because it's becoming true. And you're gonna have to listen to me now because I want to discuss this with you and see what you think. So fade back in.
Yep, I'm here. I'm listening. Tell me.
So I read
my opinion?
I read this. Incredibly unfun pot industry in Illinois is missing out. And it says in captions, here's how that can change. And just the caption alone, I agreed with just the caption. Just the title, incredibly unfun pot industry.
Right.
And I know COVID, you had a whole year where Illinois was finally legal, and then COVID hit, and you couldn't really celebrate. It was also January, February, March, April. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I hate to say it, I like it when it was illegal because it was more fun because you were doing stuff that you weren't supposed to do. But it made it fun because you just enjoyed it and you didn't give a shit. Now it's just like, it's just so uptight. I don't know. I think it's just so uptight. I hope Illinois can make this a little bit more fun, or Chicago. I mean, I've been to some dispensaries. They're pretty fun. You know, the bud tenders are cool, but it's still so uptight. And it just
because they're restricted in what they can do.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
they can't create an experience. It's more of just like come in and get what you need and go out.
There's some places that are creating it and stuff like that. I just don't even know if it's the dispensaries, though, also. I just think it's just, I don't know. I just feel different about it. It's weird. I don't know. I'm baked. I'm sorry. I'm going to get off the soapbox. But they're just saying that they can make it fun with businesses and loosening up some of the laws and stuff like that. And I agree. I mean, they're going to have some, hopefully lounges will help out where you don't have to serve alcohol. We've talked about this. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Here's something. Well, Amazon has stopped testing cannabis. Many workers for cannabis and will lobby Congress for federal legalization. He's going to the fucking. He's taking off tomorrow morning in a fucking rocket ship.
Oh, is he going to the moon?
Bezos. I don't think he's going to the moon.
To the moon.
Alice. But I guess when you're worth $1 trillion, you could fly anywhere you want.
He's just going to go fly around in outer space a little bit.
Knows? So, but anyway, I
just because.
They employ over 1 million people.
Could you imagine that?
What, going on a rocket ship?
You just wake up and you're like, you know what?
No.
On Friday, we're going to go fly around. All right, where are we going to fly? We're going to go to outer space. And that would be real. Like, you'd really be doing that on Friday. Just because.
Elon Musk said he's going to Mars. I mean, I don't
just
care less about the guy, but he's going to Mars.
Does he want to walk on it?
Who knows? I think he'll die if you go to Mars.
I think you do, too. He looks angry.
Seen some cool pictures, though. But anyway, they're no longer going to test and do any kind of cannabis screening. My opinion, a couple things. I mean, they employ over 1 million people. Probably about 30-40% of their employees probably have smoked in their life or smoke now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be lenient with that. You can't test for that because people are not doing it while they work. And fuck it, man. They fucking get their shit done. They go home. So you're making them pee in bottles while they're fucking working. They don't give them a break. Let them fucking smoke some weed when they get home so they can relax. So hopefully you do it at Amazon. And of course, you're going to support federal legalization because you're probably going to try to want to sell it through your fucking website. So whatever.
Mr. Weedman's got some things to say.
I do. This one was fucked up. Man sentenced in kidnap torture of an OC pot dispensary owner left sexually mutilated in Mojave Desert. I'm going to read this.
What was he guilty of? He assaulted a grower?
He chopped off. He kidnapped. Let me read it, and then we can talk about it because this is
okay.
Good.
Okay.
A man who took part in a plan to steal $1 million from a Southern California cannabis dispensary owner who was kidnapped, tortured, and mutilated has been sentenced to more than 12 years in a state prison. Ryan Kevorkian, what a similar name, 42, was sentenced. Right, what a fucking bad name too. Ryan Kevorkian. Hello, doctor. Was sentenced Wednesday after pleading guilty to kidnapping, burglary, and assault. He was granted credit for time spent in county jail since 2013 arrest, the Orange County Register reported. His attorney said his client didn't realize what would happen when he and several others kidnapped a dispensary owner from the Newport Beach home in 2012, along with his girlfriend of the homeowner and who was out of town. The men wrongly believed the dispensary owner had buried $1 million in the desert. During a more than 2-hour drive to the Mojave Desert, they hit him with the rubber piping, shocked him with a taser, and burned him with a blowtorch, prosecutors said.
Jeez.
Once in the desert, the kidnappers cut off the dispensary owner's penis.
Oh, my gosh.
They mutilated the poor dude's penis.
They
bobbed him. Poor guy.
Jeez.
Why would you just... They left him and the woman bound as they drove off with a cut penis.
Oh, ew, they took it with? Ew.
The woman flagged down a law.
Didn't Lorena throw it out of a car window, like down the road?
Yeah.
So she took off with it too, like, you bastard. Oh my God.
And the dispensary owner survived through authorities were unable to recover his body part. The mastermind of the plot was sentenced last year in life in prison without possibility of parole. Waiting trial in 2016, he escaped from the Orange County Jail with 2 other inmates and led authorities on a week-long manhunt across the state before being captured. Another defendant was previously convicted and sentenced to 4 life terms. All the guys and the former wife is waiting trial on charges she brought with the weapons and helped to rent the van and the kidnapping. That's fucked up.
That's crazy.
If a penis gets cut off, does it grow back?
I don't think so. Wouldn't you like bleed? You got like some big veins in there. Wouldn't you bleed to death?
Possibly.
Is it connected to your carotid artery that runs through your thigh?
I don't think so.
Is that your carotid? There is some major artery in your in your groin.
Yes. But I don't know if it connects to your penis. Probably one line probably goes there from there.
There'd be some blood spattering. That'd be messy. Crazy. Why are we still thinking about this?
I'm sorry.
Whoa. Okay.
Pretty good crippler.
Yeah.
Hippie crippler.
Yeah. I apologize.
Why? For what?
I think we are on like slow. Everyone's going to have to listen to us on a faster speed. Did you know that? If you listen to podcasts, you can speed it up like
I know people that do.
Millisecond.
I actually got a text. I got a text from a DM from somebody that listens to us, and he goes, "You're the first podcast I never have to speed up."
Because we talk so fast.
I was like, "That's cool." I guess. Do you listen to the whole episode? Because it kind of slows down as the episode goes on.
It's crazy.
Oh fuck! Who breaks the mold in cannabis users, Mrs. Weedman?
Well, of course, we have the stubborn stoner stereotype that will forever persist, but the crowd at your local dispensary likely includes some unexpected folks. The snack guzzling, couch imprint creating stoner stereotype might stubbornly persist in pop culture, but most modern cannabis consumers aren't Harold and Kumar, or Cheech and Chong, or Jay and Silent Bob. From active moms to former members of the military, the era of increasingly liberalized attitudes towards and laws regulating cannabis means that people from all walks of life are able to enjoy its myriad of benefits. So while there's nothing wrong with an occasional night spent eating chips and watching comedies, it's hardly the only way to consume cannabis. Many people are incorporating cannabis into their wellness routines for various purposes. Here are 5 kinds of folks breaking the mold of what a typical cannabis user is. So we've got the fit mom. She is involved in regular exercise. It's part of her routine that has benefits for her mind and body. And especially, it's useful for parents with demanding jobs that need to carve out time for themselves in their schedule. Like cannabis, appropriate physical activity is often recommended for people experiencing chronic pain. It's only natural, then, that some people would try both, particularly given that some people use cannabis for chronic pain relief. And they find exercise makes them more comfortable. But oh my gosh, I just am so high right now. Did you just see that? All of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? Okay, so that's the exercising fit mom, right?
WeedMan so big, it's great.
She's learning like for her bits and aches and pains and anxiety and busy workload, life balance kind of thing, she's working cannabis into part of her routine of health and wellness. Then you've got the playful pop. Cannabis can be an incredible tool for creativity, helping you to approach both artistic endeavors and problem solving with an open and more accepting mind. Medical cannabis users should sit down with their kids more creative toys, from building bricks to modeling clay. Every once in a while, sit with them and create something that might impress the kids and inspire them to pursue their own creative pursuits. You've got the veteran. Last year, the House Committee on Veteran Affairs passed bills ordering the VA to research the potential benefits of cannabis to physical ailments related to active duty and allow VA doctors to complete state-level medical cannabis recommendation paperwork. Super cool, super important. The bill stalled, though. But the work of groups like Veterans for Cannabis, which has collected first-person stories from veterans who also use cannabis, continues. So that's a work in progress. You've got the elite athlete. Some serious athletes say that cannabis isn't the impediment that their physical conditioning might expect. From ultramarathoners to triathletes, more world-class competitors are opening up about how they've incorporated cannabis into training regimens that go beyond standard level of physical fitness that everyone should maintain. You've got the Haute Gourmand. The relaxation of cannabis laws in states across the country has led gourmet chefs to employ cannabis as an ingredient in decidedly high-end tasting menus, pop-up dinners, and other high-profile culinary endeavors through the addition of carefully measured quantities of products like flavored and unflavored tinctures. It's clear that not all cannabis consumers are restricting their culinary ambitions to junk food. Although that's what I'm craving right about now. Oh my God, last night I munched out. Nothing was working. I had ice cream. I had pretzels.
The ice cream actually worked.
I had tortilla chips. I had nerd ropes. I was just eating everything. Bad night. Over snacking.
It's all right.
Anyway.
It happens.
Yeah.
To the best of us every now and then.
So I think it's just cool. They're just noticing that there's all types of stereotypes that are being broken by cannabis becoming legal. I mean, think about when we were in Seattle, we stood in lines at a number of different dispensaries, or we were in them. And it really is all makes and models of people that come into dispensaries. Young, old, everything in between.
Yeah, it's great.
Healthy, wacky, wild. They're all there.
Yeah. That's why I love the cannabis community.
It's fun.
You know, people who have been using it and smoking it treat people differently. I don't know, with kindness and respect and human decency, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, international news, Hong Kong police seize $7 million worth of cannabis in the largest bust in a decade. Oof, man, just legalize it. China, come on, man, let's go. The Euro weed guy, how do you find a good cannabis supplier in Europe? I thought this was interesting because it's not legal everywhere in Europe at all, you know. Law enforcement agencies in Europe are well trained in detecting cannabis. There are dogs specifically trained to aid them in this duty, according to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction. In 2014, cannabis accounted for 57% of the 1.6 million drug offenses recorded in Europe. That's fucking crazy. Like, just decriminalize it then. I mean, no one should be getting... Oh, God. In case you are considering sourcing cannabis from Europe, don't fret. It is legal in most EU nations. However, it should be noted that there are limitations. In some regions, it is only allowed for medicinal purposes. Some countries go further by demanding that the THC in the cannabis product must be lower than 0.2% of the total content. Oh, God. THC is the psychoactive. We already know that. On the other hand, CBD is not psychoactive and offers numerous, and it's a little bit more lenient there. The European cannabis market was estimated at $3.5 billion in 2019, expected to exponentially increase to $37 billion by 2027. That's fucking crazy. Things to know. Don't be deceived by the fact that the European country legalized the cultivation of cannabis or its use for medicinal purposes. Inquire further, and there are no other restrictions to place to avoid any trouble. European countries' laws regarding cannabis can be confusing. Quality of the cannabis industry is fairly regulated, and only aspect strictly monitored is need to comply with the certain percentage of THC contingent. So quality control in the cannabis world is a mess. Some bottom line key factors to consider when looking for a good cannabis supply in Europe is credibility. Before deciding on a supplier, conduct extensive research, read reviews from previous buyers. You can never be too careful. There are credible suppliers of cannabis in Europe. You just have to know how to identify the crooks and stay clear from them. So some little tidbits that I read, I figured I'd share. You know what's weird? As the West, we're considered the West, is riding a green wave now. More and more states are legalizing, but in some countries, cannabis can still get you killed. Philippines,
yeah,
certain countries in the Middle East. It's just crazy that 35 countries still have the provision of capital punishment for drug smuggling. Of those, in 13, the death sentence is mandatory. Foretold is forewarned, those are the worst places in the world to smoke weed. That's just crazy. Here, a list of countries where it is dangerous to point of losing your head is Afghanistan. The birthplace of every cannabis strain on the planet, Afghanistan is exceedingly famous for its ancient tradition of making hash, which is still alive and well today, as is the use of cultivation of cannabis in much of the country. It's the case of consumption being illegal on paper, but not the practice, and there are plenty of other countries that are on the list. But Afghanistan, well, Kuwait and Iraq and Iran are bad against cannabis. Well, we talked about India with all those bang shops, but it's still illegal to sell the flower part of it. Just crazy. In Malaysia, 2 nationals were caught there smuggling cannabis, and they were currently facing death on 36 counts of distributing cannabis and selling edibles with cannabis oil. That's just nuts. So Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, the death penalty. Philippines, death penalty. just be careful. So there's more countries, but just be careful over there. Crazy article, dangerous fake cannabis is creeping into the UK weed market. So just be careful, any fake shit out there, guys. Be safe. Carry on. How many kid books do you think you read? O-Dog and Polly.
Oh, we had our favorites, but those would kind of phase out over time too. And
did any one of those ever mention cannabis in any of them?
No. Silly.
Ever?
No.
Not even like nothing?
No.
Well,
although Pippi Longstocking, if you ever go watch a Pippi Longstocking movie, I think they are banned at this point. I rented that from the library because it was the only place I could find it when the kids were little. I'm like, you guys are going to love this Pippi Longstocking. She was crazy.
She picked up a horse carriage and a horse one time, remember?
Her father was a pirate and left her home alone for weekends.
Alone. Weekends, months. And
then he left her with this chest, and in the chest were weapons and hallucinogenic drugs. And he told her to take one every night. And then she took one, and she was like, whoa. And she was totally like whacked out.
Probably a magic mushroom.
Yeah. She had a machete. She lied to the mayor and pretended
she could pick up a horse in a carriage, though.
She was wild. I liked how she mopped the floor with brushes on her shoes.
There you go. She was the only smart one.
Yeah. So anyway, we've had some favorite books with the kids, too. I think.
But now you think there's a book about cannabis.
There is.
There is?
Yeah. You want to hear about it?
I do.
Okay. The book is called Asa's Medicine, and this is an interview with nurse Ashley Wynn Grimes about her new groundbreaking children's book. She wrote Asa's Medicine to educate children and their parents about medical cannabis. Asa's Medicine is going to improve the way we talk about medical cannabis. For years now, not only has the perception of cannabis been ruled by the war on drugs in the U.S., but so has the public school system. In a school setting accustomed to the rules and misinformation imposed by DARE and other anti-drug organizations, students who use medical cannabis in school are set up to have a hard time. That's where nurse Ashley Wynn Grimes and ACE's Medicine come in. As a practicing nurse for more than a decade, Wynn Grimes decided to dedicate herself to cannabis when she looked around and saw that people of color and medical professionals were underrepresented in the world of medical cannabis. A native to Baltimore, Maryland, she helped develop policies like HB 0617, which helped regulate medical cannabis in schools, and founded Cannabis Nursing Solutions, a holistic health group in Maryland. But despite all of that good work, she still wanted to put something out into the world that would help kids who use cannabis medically gain acceptance. While working on the guidelines, I was concerned about the social impact of allowing children to consume on campuses, she explained. As a mother and a nurse, I thought about all of the questions kids would have, and this scenario played out in my head as a way to help guide me through it. I'm excited to have contributed based on the years of knowledge and evidence we've accumulated at Cannabis Nursing Solutions in such a creative, approachable way. It's important for kids and parents to understand just how similar medical cannabis is to other medicine. I had so many questions, like, okay, what about the kid who sits next to the kid who might be taking medical cannabis? She elaborated. What was the nurse interaction going to be like for that child at the school? What role do they take? And how do the parents talk to kids about medical cannabis when they didn't make the choice to have it be part of their child's life? This story literally was formed from all of those questions I had myself, even thinking about my own children. Envisioning the questions and comments kids would get for needing to take medical cannabis, Wynn Grimes wanted to come up with a solution that would help explain cannabis as a medical aid to kids in a simple, accessible way. ACE's Medicine also makes sure to prioritize racially diverse children, but not everyone is a fan. You either love it or you hate it, she explained. It ranges anywhere from, oh no, this book has the word cannabis and children in it. This is terrible. And then some people are interested and they're like, wow, these are the types of conversations that need to be had. There are a lot of parents out there who are fighting for their children to get access to this medicine, and typically it is a last resort medicine, so their children can just have a semi-normal life. In addition to her book, Wynn Grimes offers a course to nurses so they can learn about working with cannabis and how the truth needs to win over the myths. I feel like the messaging behind cannabis in general is only associated with a certain type of person. So everyone's familiar with the stoner stereotype, and there's a specific image that comes to mind, she said. So the images I put in my books, I wanted them to be different from what we are familiar with and help change that. As the East Coast finally comes to terms with cannabis and the end to the war on drugs, soon we hope, and how it has disproportionately impacted people of color, books like ACE's Medicines are going to make a difference to future generations.
I think that's awesome.
I think it is. And really, that is a thing. Like, okay, your kid, say, is in elementary school and has a condition that the cannabis is going to help him with, or her. And they're going to have to go to school. And now you've got to get the school on board with giving your child the medications during the day, because that's what the school nurse is for in a public setting. And so now what if the administration and the nurse are in disagreement with your method of medicating? They don't like that you're giving your kid drugs, even though all the pharmaceuticals are drugs, right? Because it's just the stigma that comes with it. So now you've got the administration who isn't happy and pleasant, but by law, they have to do it. They have to distribute and give the medication to your child at set hours, right, in the day. And then you get to the classroom and the teacher knows that the kid's high now. So now if the kid misbehaves or is a little drowsy, it's not because the kid is sick or, something's going on. It's because he's on weed, right, if they have that mentality. Right. And then you've got the kids in the classroom who their parents are maybe aware of this and they may be against or for cannabis. And so they interject their opinions on their children, who then go to school and say things. So now you've just got this little kid who needs medicine to feel good, but you've got all these potential dynamics that could be really adverse to the child's well-being mentally. Right.
And so a family in Illinois that fought for that, though.
Yeah,
but it's cool. It's called Ashley's Law.
Right. So it's cool that there's a book, but again, it's an uphill battle because the school is not going to want that book read. It'll just be, but one day it's going to be there, and
that's something that book there breaks the stigma,
right? Like if every parent who has a child who has to have cannabis therapies as part of their health regimen offers that book to all of the classmates of the kids, and maybe at some point you get to the point where half of the families take the book, or they're like, "Hey, I already have a copy." That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Well, remember the show Weed we would watch. We loved it. Remember that time where it was the little girl. She had bad episodes, and they would give her the Rick Simpson oil on a little piece of whatever. And the guy who hosted the show, I forgot his name, but tried it with her, and she walked around like she was
fine. She was healthy,
and he was baked.
Yeah.
And she walked around, but the funniest part when she went, woof, get to smell those flowers. I remember when she said that, I laughed my ass off.
So, weren't they having like a backyard party or something?
No, it was him and her walking through the forest, like the little grass area, talking about her cannabis experience of being. She was only like 7 years old, 8 years old, I would say. And they live in Colorado, and that was able. But
the family moved there.
For her to
get the medicine.
It was a great episode because you saw a young child who needs cannabis. That's what she takes every day.
Right, and she's functioning
amazingly.
Quite fine
she
with
was awesome,
clear-minded.
Yeah,
everything.
we were laughing.
But she did do little things that were like, "Oh, she's a little stoner."
Yeah,
it was cute.
So it was great. So break the stigma, people. Books like that are going to help. I just put one of our plants outside today. The Majin Fajita, I put in the flower, but I put one outside because I think it's a male. And I kind of know it's a male because my other plants have the stuff that I researched to see if it was going to be developing into a female. Anyway, I was going to put a couple plants outside regardless. I would hopefully like to have somebody on the show one day that can teach indoor, outdoor grow, the difference, and like if you're going to start indoor, like go through the whole thing. Mommy did a great job just giving me some tips, but I read some articles and it interested me because I just put the plant outside and we'll see what happens. And but the other plants are doing great. So
how many weeks along are they?
8 weeks right now,
and you usually start
flower.
Between 8 and 10 weeks you put them to flower, right?
Yeah. So they went in the flower in 12 hours today. So we'll see what happens and how the yield comes. So hopefully I'll get a few people on to teach indoor, outdoor, but also really teach like the difference of going from indoor to outdoor. And we'll get more involved with it. But I fucking hate hangovers. That's why I don't hardly drink anymore. Beer hangovers, alcohol hangovers is some of the worst feeling ever. I'm miserable. So I've lessened my alcohol drinking the last probably 3 years, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, big time. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to know how I buy, when Mrs. WeedMan and I drink a beer now, we buy High Life, and I buy the little stubbies, the little 4-ounce bottles. And I can drink 4 of those, and it's like drinking 2 beers, but I'm spacing it out more, and I don't even get a buzz. It's great.
Right.
But I love the taste of it, and I drink a little bit. I don't miss having hangovers at all. I don't miss drinking at all. Like I said, a couple of 2 cherry pops.
A beer here and there, a glass of wine.
Right.
But cocktail.
Yeah, cocktail here, but...
But
have we... I think I've gotten one cannabis hangover. One. And that was because I ate too many edibles, So what's all about... Is there really such thing as cannabis hangovers?
Well, I don't know. Yes. There are such things, but I would say the times that I've had my worst hangovers are from drinking alcohol. And I think a couple New Year's Eves ago, I consumed way too much cannabis. Didn't really drink that much, but drank enough. And it was just like overkill on both. And I was wasty.
You had a good time that night, though.
I had fun, but
you had a lot of fun that night.
I was so hungover. Yeah. So anyway, yes, there is such a thing as marijuana hangovers, cannabis hangovers. How do they work and how do you treat them? Well, weed hangovers are different from alcohol hangovers. They principally affect people who are new to the drug or who are trying out a new cannabis method. Weed hangovers are a mystery. Unlike alcohol hangovers, which universally affect everyone, when weed hangovers happen, there's not much of an explanation. Maybe you smoked more than you've ever smoked, or maybe you consumed weed in a brand new way. It could never happen to you, or it could happen often. So some people don't ever have it happen. Weed hangovers encompass a range of effects that include brain fog, headache, fatigue, and feeling like you're still high hours later. I have had that.
Yeah, that edible high you had was crazy.
While they're not as uncomfortable as an alcohol hangover, they can still be pretty limiting, starting from the moment you smoke until hours after. Due to cannabis, the legal status of cannabis, there's not a lot of information out there on why these types of hangovers occur. Anecdotal evidence suggests that it's related to the amount of weed that is consumed. This varies from person to person depending on the individual's cannabis threshold. In general, the more THC there is in cannabis and the more you consume of it, the higher the odds of getting a cannabis hangover. Cannabis hangovers aren't as crippling as alcohol hangovers, but there are a few things you can do to put them under control. If you get recurring weed hangovers, it may indicate that something is off with your cannabis consumption. Everyday users should try to limit the amount of cannabis they ingest, consuming it every other day or just on the weekends. A change of your cannabis smoking schedule might also help. If you get hangovers when you smoke at night, try smoking during the day. Mix it up. If you get the occasional one-off hangover and you don't know what to do about it, try sleeping it off. That always works, right? If you sleep and it's still disturbing you, avoid spending the entire day in bed, since this will make your situation likely worse. Go for a walk or a run. You'll quickly notice the change in your system. Don't skip out on meals and stick to something healthy and natural. Stay
fried food. Yeah. Fried food. When you're no, like
I say get active. I feel like when you're super active.
I mean, I drink that smoothie every morning. I feel great. You
know, when you get active, I think if you feel over high, but you get up and get moving and you're doing something, you get pretty clear. Yeah. Fresh air, a little walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it says stay hydrated and wait for it to pass, because it will. For sure.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I will always say is, like, I think I got like an edible hangover. So it was a cannabis hangover, but it was like I ate way too many. I shouldn't even eat that last one before I went to bed, kind of stupidness, you know.
And you're still probably high.
Right. But the one thing I always tell people, and the one thing I learned the hard way, was this, and I'm sure there's people out there across the world that learn the hard way on this. If you're going to go out drinking with your pals or your girlfriends or whatever, you go out and go out partying all night long and drink, and you're going to smoke weed, here's a little tip. Do not smoke weed when you're fucking drunk, and then go smoke weed. I will attest to this. I've fucking vomited, and because I was already drunk, and now you're putting another thing in your system that your body probably doesn't need. You might think it does, but I got the head spins, and I was puking. Terrible. If you're gonna drink, smoke first, and then drink. Or if you're going to have a beer and smoke some weed, do that first and then go drink. Do not, and maybe get high a little bit later, but when you're fucking blasted drunk, stay away. There might be some people out there that can do it. I'm one of them that can't, and I've seen people that were wasted and said, give me that joint, and you're like, all right, here. And they paid the price. So be careful. Take it from Mr. Weedman. I admitted to it. I fucked up. I puked, but I learned my lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten the head spins before where you were drunk and then decided to smoke and you were fucking paying the price. The head spins are the worst. They go away, don't get me wrong, but I've had head spins when I was blasted drunk and then made a mistake of smoking, or just blasted drunk. Head spins are the worst, so drink a lot of water while you're drinking. O-Dog learned her lesson. I taught her that, and she goes, that worked. I said, I know. So
life lessons. Those are the ones to be proud of, right?
Yeah, those are, man. When your kids come back to you and say, man, I learned something from you. Wow, really? Holy shit.
And then they tell you, oh, I learned to drink water in between my drinks. And you're like, oh, so glad I taught you that one.
Hey, life lesson, right?
That's right.
That's it. So she said, Dad, it works. I'm like, I know. Alcohol dehydrates you. So... this is the craziest thing. Jay-Z Love his music. He's bought into a business, and with these other cannabis companies all like kind of formed and bought into one another or some shit. And his cannabis business is gearing up to produce 900,000. Not just nine. When I was talking to Mrs. Weedman about this, she goes, 900 pounds? That seems like a lot. Not a lot. I'm like, no, 900,000 pounds of cannabis.
That's insane.
Crazy. So his cannabis company continues to make big-time power moves in the legalized cannabis market. And I've read some articles of what he's done, his own brand. He's helping social equity programs, which is great, teaching people how to start their own cannabis businesses and helping them out also, which I think is awesome. But here, earlier in the month, the company made $67 million worth of transactions, including a $50 million purchase in a company, Mercer Park Brand Acquisition Corp., which is about to merge with another company called Glasshouse Group in a deal worth $567 million. When the deal is done, Hobbs Company will have ownership in California's largest cannabis producer. The parent company also negotiated a 10-year deal with Glasshouse, which will produce almost 500,000 pounds of cannabis biomass. The parent company and Glasshouse also finishing up a $25 million retail partnership agreement with over 6 years that enables the parent company's suite of branded products like Monogram to be sold across all Glasshouse retail locations. These partnerships are fantastic opportunities to secure long-term access to over 900,000 pounds of high-quality, low-cost California-grown cannabis for use across our expanding portfolio of branded products. Our focus over the last 100 days has been to continue to scale up our supply chain, strategic investment, and two important components: gaining access to Glasshouse greenhouse-grown cannabis and attractive pricing, and expanding the distribution of our products to their network of retail stores. They're also snapping up pristine real estate from cannabis-based farmers. The parent company purchased 4 acres of licensed high-quality outdoor cultivation from a consortium of experienced cannabis farms affiliated with a company called Mosaic.ag. The Jay-Z's company paid $17 million in combination of cash and common shares of the parent company and advanced the farmer $6 million in cash. Damn. Ballin'. Just $50 bills, y'all. Just like balling like it was nothing. Good for him. I mean, success right there. Came from the streets, grew up in the streets, dealing drugs, became a hip-hop artist, and then took the money he made and made some smart investments. That's a street dealer right there for you. So, hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm baked. Still pretty good. I smoked another hit, but that was a crippling moment there for a minute.
Seriously.
T, thanks for the gift. And you were so right. Weed is Mr. Weedman's love language. You got me, and you crippled me. So I owe you, T. T, the producer, we love you. Thank you for the gift. Hey, everyone, we love you out there. Peace be with you all. Mrs. Weedman, you got anything else to say?
No, I think I'm talked out, even though I hardly said much. Right? This weed is definitely, it's a sativa.
Yeah,
like I feel
dominant.
That, but I definitely feel like
it was very euphoric.
Yeah,
and it said it in there. It said highly euphoric, and there was I think it was 4 bars or some shit.
Wow.
Like it gave a high rating for euphoria. I like euphoric strains because it puts you on another level for a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll just say my brain's a little busy right now, so I've got nothing else to say. Just gotta get back in there and keep thinking.
Oh shit! Well, everyone,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening as always around the world. We love you all. Check us out. WeedMan420 Chronicles on Instagram, WeedMan420Pod on Twitter. Send us an email, WeedMan420Chronicles@gmail.com. And we appreciate you all. People that have been emailing us, DMing us, man, we thank you. We appreciate everything. We love you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puffing away.
Puff, puff, pass.